Okay, hopefully you can all see that, right? Okay, good. Anyway, we're gonna have an interesting machlokus over here. Is the goyrel ma'akiv or not? In other words, we know there's such a thing as goyrel, that the kohen would go ahead, tarf the kalpi, he would go ahead and take the hands, put both hands in, right or left. Sagan on the right would be Lashem, hopefully. Left would be Lazazel. That's what you hope the outcome would be. What happens if you don't do that? What happens if you just designate? You just call. Would it be ma'akiv or not? Okay, would it be ma'akiv or not? Now, to preface this, there's a machlokus between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia. It says the following. The pasuk says, "V'hoysel lachem lechukas olam." This should be lechukas olam. B'chodesh hashvi b'esel lechodesh, in the 7th month and the 10th day in Yom Kippur. It's speaking about wearing the big day lavan. Now, doing the avodah, when it says chukah, we know chukah is ma'akiv. Question: is it ma'akiv all of the avodah that's done in the big day lavan, or only some of the avodah that was done in big day lavan? Says Rabbi Nechemia, it's ma'akiv all of the avodah that's done in big day lavan. If all the avodah is done in big day lavan, no matter whether it's inside lefnai lefnim, inside the kodesh kodashim, where they burnt the ketairis and sprinkled dam, or it's in the avodah that was done in the heichal, such as the goyrel and the spritzing of the dam in front of the kapairis. Says Rabbi Nechemia, if you don't do it, it's ma'akiv. It doesn't work because this seder, if you do it out of order, you have to do it. But if you do it out of order, it doesn't work. That's Rabbi Nechemia. Says Rabbi Yehuda, the whole akpod is on this of seder has to be on the avodah done lefnai lefnim, the ketairis and the sprinkling of the blood inside the kodesh kodashim. But avodah that's done bachutz, if it's done out of order, it's not ma'akiv. Okay, with that in mind, let's begin the Gemara. We're on Daf Lamed Tes Amid Beis. We're about 2, 4, 6, 8, exactly 10 lines in the bottom. I'm Rabbi Yanai. Says Rabbi Yanai, Aliyas Goyrel b'soitmi toich kalpi ma'akeves. The drawing of the goyrel from the box is ma'akiv, and if you don't do it, then again the korban has not been designated. Hanacha, however, the placing of the goyrel on top of the seirim between their horns is eina ma'akeves. That's not ma'akiv. So the goyrel's ma'akiv, and the hanacha is not. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, af aliyas eina ma'akeves. Says Rabbi Yochanan, even the goyrel itself is not ma'akiv. Even the goyrel itself is not ma'akiv. Now, we're going to fit in these two shittas of machloikas Rabbi Yanai and Rabbi Yochanan, the Amoraim. We're going to fit it into the machloikas Tanoim that I just told you. And to facilitate that, I have the chart over here. Okay. To facilitate that, I have the chart over here. I'm going to. Okay. So you guys can see this. I can't see you right now, but you can see this. You can see me.
We can see you, and we can see you, and I can see the chart. That's one you had the whole time, right?
Okay, great. You can see me, and the chart is fine. Now watch.
Right, that's the one, right?
Right. Now watch. We're going to have two lashonos in the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia. Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that only the one that's done inside in the big is if you do out of the seder is ma'akiv, and Rabbi Nechemia says that both. So now, according to the first lashon, Rabbi Yehuda, it won't be ma'akiv. Why? Because the goyrel is done outside. So if you don't do it, it's not eina ma'akeves. If you don't do it, it's not ma'akiv. According to Rabbi Nechemia, however, that's the machloikis. Rabbi Yanai would say it's ma'akiv. Rabbi Yanai would say it's ma'akiv. Why? Because Rabbi Nechemia is of the opinion any avodah done in big day lavan, if you don't do it, it's ma'akiv. So the goyrel would be ma'akiv. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not ma'akiv. And the Gemara, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not ma'akiv because it's not an avodah. It's not considered an avodah. So that's the first lashon of the Gemara. The second lashon of the Gemara is the machlokes in Rabbi Yanai and Rabbi Yochanan is in Rabbi Yehuda. Like Rabbi Yanai, Rabbi Yehuda, it'll be ma'akiv. It says chukah. And therefore, when does Rabbi Yehuda say it's not ma'akiv, right? He says that where it doesn't say chukah, where it says chukah, it would be ma'akiv. And according to Rabbi Yochanan, it won't be ma'akiv because Rabbi Yehuda says it's done outside, it's not inside. And according to Rabbi Nechemia, they both would hold, even Rabbi Yehuda, even Rabbi Yochanan, who argues over here by Rabbi Yehuda, with the Gila Nechemia, it is ma'akiv. Okay, so that is the chart. We're going to get back to that chart. We're going to see the lashon inside, and we'll try to fit the pshat into the chart. When we'll bring it up again when we'll see the Gemara. Okay, so now let's begin. Again, one more time. We have Rabbi Yehuda says the machlokes is when is the not ma'akiv on the clothing is only kachik kadashim, but done b'chutz is not a problem. Rabbi Nechemia says what? In both it's not a problem, and we're trying to fit in the machlokes amaroyim where Rabbi Yochanan says it's not ma'akiv, and Rabbi Yanai says it is ma'akiv. We're trying to fit in which Tana they arguing according to. Says the Gemara. According to Rabbi Yehuda, who says that the avodah done outside the kodesh kadashim in the heichel, b'chutz loy ma'akva is not ma'akiv. Not in the heichel. I'm talking about this is talking about in the azara. It's not ma'akiv. Kul yamalei pligi loy ma'akva. Everyone would say it's not ma'akiv. In other words, even Rabbi Yanai would agree that it's not ma'akiv. Ki pligi. Ali, but Reb Nechemia, where do they argue? According to Reb Nechemia, mandam akva of Reb Nechemia, because it's done even outside. Mandam alay ma'akva hanimile avoida hagrala lav avoidahi. So let's bring it up now. Let's bring it up and see. So here we go. According to this is our Lishna Kama. According to Rabbi Yehuda, right? There's no machlokes. Even Rabbi Yanai would be moed. It's not ma'akiv because since it's done by chutz, it's done in the heichel. Again, the girl was done in the heichel. I keep on saying the heichel. The girl was done in the azara. I'm sorry, guys. The girl was done in the azara. I mistakenly said before the heichel. But chutz does not mean chutz. Chutz means outside the kodesh. So now, like both of them, it's not ma'akiv. Even Rabbi Yanai would say it's not ma'akiv. And according to Rabbi Nechemia, that's the machlokes. Rabbi Yanai, it's ma'akiv. Why? Because he's wearing white clothing. Rabbi Yochanan says it's not an avodah, and therefore it's not ma'akiv. That will be the first lashon that we just saw. Good? Guys got it? Good. Now the next lashon. Ikedi Amri, Ali b'Reb Nechemia, the Amma Ma'akva Kuli Amalei Pligi. Even Rabbi Yochanan would be moida like Reb Nechemia, the girl's ma'akiv, because why are you wearing white clothing? Ki pligi the machlokes Ali b'Reb Yehuda. Manda Amalei Ma'akva, the one who says it's not ma'akiv, holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Manda Amma Ma'akva, Rabbi Yanai, Shiny Hacha, the Tanya Bek, the Tana Bek Kra. Asher Allah Trezimni. It says V'hikr of Aaron es Asaya Asher Allah Lava Gairol. It says V'asaya Asher Allah Lava Gairol Azazel. So it says Asher Allah Love. Why is it being repeated twice? To teach me that it's ma'akiv. Why is it being repeated twice? To teach me that it's ma'akiv. Let's see the second lashon, guys. L'ikadi Amri. Again, Lo Reb Nechemia. That's easy. Even Rabbi Yochanan will be moed it's ma'akiv because since you're wearing white clothing, it's ma'akiv. However, Rabbi Yanai over here and Rabbi Yochanan over here. Like Rabbi Yochanan, it's not ma'akiv according to Rabbi Yehuda because it's one that's done in the azara. It's bachutz. Like Rabbi Yanai, since it says Asher Allah twice, Allah means that you drew twice. Why is it repeating twice? To teach me that it is what? It is ma'akiv. So the machlokes, the two lashonos is where the machlokes of between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yanai is. It's by according to Rabbi Yehuda the machlokes, or according to Rabbi Nechemia the machlokes. Good? We're set up? Okay. Meisive. Mitzvah lahagro. It's a mitzvah to do the gairol. V'im loy higrol, and if you don't do it, kasha. It's a mitzvah to do it, and if you don't do it, what? Right? It's kasha. Bishlema lahach lishna the amrit. Okay, I'm gonna just use the chart. Bishlema lahach lishna the amrit ali b'Reb Yehuda kuliyam leit pligid leima akva lashon aleph guys. Look like Rabbi Yehuda that it's not ma'akiv. Hamani, who's the Tana that says that what? That the girl is not ma'akiv? It's Rabbi Yehuda. Very geshmak, right? No machlokes, it's very geshmak. Ella lashon amid aleph. Ella lahach lishna the amrit pligi. Like this second lashon that says they argue in Rabbi Yehuda, the amar loy ma'akva, that says that what? That the Amalei Ma'akva Hamani, Rabbi Yehuda. So who would it be? It would be Rabbi Yehuda, right? It would be Rabbi Yehuda. Elamandi Amma Ma'akva Hamani, like the man Amma the Ma'akva. Who would the Tana be over here? According to the Lashon that says that they argue in Rabbi Yehuda, this one over here. So who's the Tana of the Mishnah? Who's the Tana? Who is the Tana of the Mishnah? Say, like Rabbi Yanai, guys. Like Rabbi Yanai, it's ma'akev, right? You got a problem. Bishleim over here, Rabbi Yanai would admit, Rabbi Yanai is an Amoira. He can't argue on a Mishnah. So Rabbi Yanai would say, according to the Slashon, I agree. The Mishnah clearly says that the goyrel is not ma'akev. It's according to Rabbi Yehuda. Very geshmat, it's not ma'akev. But loit, the second Lashon, that Rabbi Yanai says it is ma'akev over here according to Rabbi Yehuda. And certainly according to Rabbi Nechemya, how could Rabbi Yanai come out according to that brisa? And he can't argue on that brisa. So that brisa says it's not ma'akev, and here clearly says it is ma'akev. I think it was clear, right, guys, from the chart, it was very clear, right? You had two, it was clear to me. Says the Gemara. Says, and for the Gemara, Tani, learn mitzvah laniach. It's a mitzvah laniach, it's a mitzvah. In other words, when it says over here in the brisa that in speaking about the goyrel, it's not speaking about the goyrel. It's speaking about the hanacha. It's speaking about placing it on. Really, the goyrel itself is ma'akev. The placing on the two seirim of the goyrel is not ma'akev. Tani mitzvah. It's a mitzvah l'haniach. It's a mitzvah to put it on. But if you don't put it on, it's not a problem. What about the goyrel itself? The goyrel itself is a problem. The goyrel itself would be a problem. Toshma, mitzvah lahagro. It's a mitzvah to do the goyrel, ulis vadois. And it's a mitzvah to go ahead and say vidoy. Loi higrol v'loi hisvada. If you didn't make a goyrel, you didn't make a vidoy, kasha. So you see over here that the goyrel is not ma'akev. Kasha on Rabbi Yanai. And what are you going to say over here when it says the goyrel? It does not mean the goyrel itself. It means the placing on the animals. Ema seifa. I'll ask you from the seifa. Reb Shimon Oiner, lehigrol kasha. If you don't do a goyrel, it's kasha. Leyisvada puzzle. If you don't do the vidu, it's puzzle. So we have machloikas now, the Tanakama and Reb Shimon, whether the vidu is puzzle. Keep this in mind. My loy higrol. What are you going to say loy higrol? Ilema loyaniach. You're going to say that what? That loyaniach. But by goyrel, everyone holds its ma'akiv. Echad Reb Shimon sav hagrola ma'akva. But Tanya meis echel mehem maybe chaveru shlei ba'agvara. Let's say you go ahead and you separate the animals. One of them dies. You can bring a second one. We're going to see a whole Gemara about Bali Chaim Nidachim, whether they get pushed out or not. So Reb Shimon's of the opinion, if one dies, you bring another one without the goyrel. But if the goyrel is ma'akiv, you'd have to bring two animals, make a goyrel, and then replace it, right? We're going to go through that sugya. So clearly, when Reb Shimon says you don't need a goyrel, it means before you don't need a goyrel. So if I don't, so meaning the Tanakhama says you do need a goyrel, that you don't need a goyrel. Reb Shimon says, so it can't be going on anacha. It can't be going on anacha. So it says that what? It's kasha. So how can you Rabbi Yanai say that, right? You Rabbi Yanai in the Ikid say that everyone holds it's ma'akiv. You see over here the goyrel's not ma'akiv, and you can't say it means to put on from the words of Reb Shimon arguing. Clearly, it speaks so we can get the goyrel. But Tanya Meisech maybe Chaver Shlei Bagrala, the Reb Shimon, and for the Gemara, no, it's really speaking about Hanacha. Reb Shimon lo yoda my kam Rabbanan. Reb Shimon didn't know what the Rabbanan was saying. What were they arguing on? Ba'achi kamalu, and this is what he said. It's really speaking about Hanacha, guys. Guys, it's really speaking about putting it on, not speaking about making the goyrel. Not speaking about making the goyrel. Why did Reb Shimon say the word goyrel? He said the following: I hagrola mamish. If you say hagrola means the actual hagrola, then palignu alaycha b'chada. Then I'm arguing on you in one thing. I hold goyrel is not. You hold goyrel, yes. However, the kamisa hainu hanacha. But if the goyrel that you mentioned, that's kasha, is the hanacha, then that it's ma'akiv. Not then palignu alaycha b'tarti. I'll argue on two things. One, I'll say the goyrel you don't need, and two, certainly you don't need the hanacha. So again, what's the kasha from? Mitzvah, it says Toshma, mitzvah lahagrul is vadois. So we wanted to say hagrola means mamish hagrola. So we're saying no, it could mean anacha, and it's Rav Shimon talking. Says Rav Shimon, if you say hagrola means hanacha, hagrola, then I argue on that. And if you say it means hanacha, then I'm arguing two things. So therefore you don't have anyone vadai saying that it's ma'akiv, and therefore it's not a kasha in Rabbi Yanai. Now, right now the Gemara, if you look, there's an aleph and a very big bach, guys. Because right now we have a mitzvah. Forget the hagrola part. We have a mitzvah whether you do vidui or not. The Tanakama said vidui is not ma'akiv if you don't do the vidui on the seir, and Shimon says it is possible if you don't do the vidui. So we have machloikis and vidui. So there's an opinion that the Gemara on the bottom line, guys, if you look at the bottom line, it says v'azla tamayu, that this Gemara v'azla tamayu goes right over here. They interjected right over here. We're not going to, but I want you to be aware of it as a prelim to understand that there's a machloikas about vidui. We're not discussing vidui. We're discussing hagrola. So we'll stay within the bounds of hagrola to discuss that, but we'll get back to the vidui, and then we'll know that this explanation of the Gemara there is going back on here. That's what the Bach is. The Bach would go ahead and chop up the whole Gemara. He would take the whole Amid Beis and put it on the Amid Aleph. Okay, so I'm going for brevity's sake and keep it in order. I'm not being so sophisticated. So I'm just saying that. Okay, now to understand the next Gemara, you need another chart, and it's very, very interesting. Okay, we'll get to the chart in a second. But Tashma, again, we're questioning whether you need Hagrola or not. Par ma'akev es haseir, v'seir e ma'akev es hapar. What does that mean? If you do anything from the par before the seir out of order, it's going to passel. But the seir, if you do something from the par before the seir, it's going to work out. What does that mean? So we have a very, very, I have to find it, the desktop. Okay. Can you see this? Guys, do you see this?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. This is a long Rashi on the Avodah. Just ignore the 1, 2, and 3 for a second. The first thing, the Aleph was Vidu and the Par. I underlined it to make it quick, so you don't have to read all the Hebrew words. Beis is the Goyrel for the 2 Seirim. 3 is the Vidu Sheni on the Par. 4 is Yushech the Par. So clearly, everything's taking place over here, with the exception of the Seir being the Vidu and the Seir, which interjects between the Avodah of the Par. Hey is you bring the Ketairos into the Kachik Kedashim. Vav is you spritz from the dam of the Par between the horns on the Kapairis, on the horns, the Badei Arin. Zayin, you shech the Seir, and that the Lahashem. Then you sprinkle the Seir inside the Kachik Kedashim. Then you sprinkle the dam of the Par in front of the Proiches in the Heichel. Then you go ahead and sprinkle the dam of the Seir in front of the Proiches. You mix the two together, the Par and the dam, and then you put them on the Mizbeach HaPnimi, you put them on the golden Mizbeach. So we just said something very interesting. Order is important. The Par has to come before the Seir. What happens if you jump? And here's the Havamina. You see the 1. This is the 1. You're doing Tes before Ches. You're sprinkling the dam that on the proiches. You're sprinkling that before the seir in the kapairis. You're sprinkling the par in front of the curtain before you do the seir, out of order, before you do the seir inside the kachik kedashim. That's the havamina, that you could do that. The Gemara is going to reject that, and then the Gemara is going to say a second possibility. It must be what? That you're taking the dam of the par that should be on the arin, and you're doing it before the goyrel, right? Here's the goyrel. Number 3 is the goyrel. So you're taking the dam of the par that should be on the kapairis in the kachil of nayel and you're sprinkling it before you do that, and that's okay. Now the Gemara is going to ask if that's okay. Why, if agrol is ma'akev, why is it okay? That's going to be the question, and the Gemara is going to reject that and say no. You know what we're speaking about? We're speaking about you do the dam of the par that you mix with the goat that you're going to put on this mizbeach. You do it before the seir on the curtain. So you're doing Yud Aleph before Yud. So the Havmin is doing this before this. Then the Gemara is going to reject that. Then it's going to say you're doing this before this. I'm going to ask a kasha. And then we're going to say, no, it doesn't mean 2, it means 3, and therefore there's no kasha. Okay, I'm going to leave this open as we do the Gemara. Tashma. Par ma'akev es ha-soyer, b'sor ei ma'akev es ha-par. Okay, now, b'matanish b'fnim es ha-par. B'matanish b'fnim. Par ma'akev es ha-soyer, b'sor ei ma'akev es ha-par, b'matanish b'fnim. Now, bishlema, par ma'akev es ha-soyer, bishlema, the par would stop if you do it before the soyer. What does that mean? The actimate the soyer, mikame par. If you do any avoid of the soyer before the par, like klum, you don't do anything. Again, clearly you see Aleph Beis, with the exception of the vidui, with the exception of the goyrol, all the dam of the par precedes the dam of the soyer. So you can't do, if you do the soyer before the par, it's no good. Ela soyer ema akav par. But if you do, that means if you do the avoid of the par before the soyer, again, Ela soyer ema akav par. The soyer does not stop the par from doing before it. Ma'inenu, what are you going to say? Ilema di agdim matonos de par behechol, number tes, doing the par again in the hechol and the pareches. Mikame matnas de seya bifnim, doing before what? Before ches, the sprinkling of the dam inside. You can't say that. Chuka ksiv, behu, as we said before, it says behoiselachem lechukas olam. It should be a chayk. So Mamela guys, we're rejecting number 1. We're rejecting number 1. That means putting the dam of the proiches in the hechel before the dam of the seir on in the oren. Elolav the agdim atanis the par bifnim vav, the vav, you move magdim and you sprinkle the dam of the par in front of the oren mikame hagrola, before the hagrola. Right, so therefore you're doing the action of the par for base before the goyrol. You're doing that first, and that's a raya that what umid seidrolei ma'akfa, and when the seid is not a problem, ikra haregel nami lei ma'akfa. We want to say the hagrol itself is not ma'akev, and this will be a kasher on Reb Yanai, who said it is ma'akev. So right now, again, if you mean the seir is not ma'akev, it's the par, meaning if you do the par before the seir, it works. What's the havamina? You're going ahead, you're taking the dam of the par that should be on the oren, and you're doing it before base, before the goyrol. So
how do we jump from the order? Just because the order is not ma'akev, if you never did the hargala, who says that it's not ma'akev? Maybe
again,
the order.
Okay, again, that could be a teretz. They give a better teretz, but that could be a teretz. Says Merloi, it's speaking the akdim matonis de par b'mizbeach mikami matnas teser behechel. You're going ahead and you're jumping. You're putting the dam of the par on the golden mizbeach before the dam of the seir in front of the curtain. For Rabbi Yehudahi, the Omar, the vor manasim b'big day lovam b'chutz, things that are done on big day lovam b'chutz, such as the big day lovam b'chutz. In this case, the par, the sprinkling of the dam of the seir in front of the curtain, which we dam bechutz, is not ma'akev. It doesn't say the dam outside; it says the dam inside. Guys, go back. Tashma par ma'akev es hasoyer v'soyer ein ma'akev es hapar b'matana shebifnim. It says b'fnim is mashma l'fnai l'fnim. Elaham money. So therefore, you can't tell me that this is Rabbi Yehuda, because again, it must be speaking about that you jumped in the Kodesh Kodashim. Elaham money is Reb Shimon. He damar hagrol loy ma'akva. You're right. Guys are rejecting number 3 and number 1. We thought originally it's number 1. We rejected. We thought number 2, and we rejected it because of the question of hagrala. We're suggesting number 3. Says the Gemara, number 3. That can't be, because we're discussing that you did something lefnai lefnim before, and over here there's no lefnai lefnim. You're just telling me you're taking the dam of the mizbeach hazav that's outside to the jumping past the mizbeach, the dam of the seir outside. This is outside and this is outside. So 3, we were rejecting 3. So therefore, 1 is chukah, 3 doesn't make sense, doesn't fit in, so it must be 2. What was our problem with 2? Our problem with 2 is that it shows when the seid is not ma'akiv, so it must be that the hagrol is not ma'akiv. When the seid is not ma'akiv, hagrol is not ma'akiv. Again, the svar Rabbi Rosenzweig would be that if it's such an important thing, then seder should be ma'akiv. So the seder would reflect on the fact that it would reflect that it's not ma'akiv. In other words, if hagrol was ma'akiv, then why would the seder, the Rishonim speak out? Why would the seder not be a problem? Elamah, what do you have to say? You have to say that hagrola is not a problem, and it's a kasha on the Man Yoma who says hagrola is a problem. So the Gemara is answering now. So we rejected 1, we rejected 3. We're going to number 2, and we're saying it's Rav Shimon. The Omar hagrola loy ma'akva, as we saw above, hagrola is ma'akiv, and now we have Rabbi Rosenzweig's answer. By saying Maloilam Rabbi Yehudahi, then he the besidru loy ma'akva, hagrola mia ma'akva. Right. So there's your teretz Rabbi Rosenzweig like that. So 2 terutzim. 1 is Rav Shimon who says hagrola is not ma'akiv. 2, hagrola is ma'akiv. The seder you're jumping, you're right. Seder is not ma'akiv, but hagrola is ma'akiv. That was a very good chart. I mean, pedagogically, I remember Rosenzweig is saying that is really, without that, it's just words, but it really brings to light just that, just to see it in front of you, I think makes such a difference, at least to me. My rule of thumb, if I can't understand it, then I can't give it over. So I have to go give it over the way I understand it. Okay, now, we're going back, fellas, to the machlokes. We're going back to the machlokes that I mentioned above, whether vidui is ma'akiv or not. Let's see it inside, okay? Going back to above, 4 lines from 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down. Toshma, mitzvah lahagrel ulis vadois. It's a mitzvah to do the goyrol, and to do vidui. Mitzvah means, guys, it's a mitzvah, but if you don't do it, it's what? It's okay. Loi higrav loy yisvad the kasha. Therefore, if you do neither, it's okay. But now, so you see, a girl is not a problem. Now, however, loy yisvad pasol. So let's focus on that second ancillary what machlokes about vidui, which we weren't discussing at all. Like the Tanakama vidui on the seir is not ma'akiv. Like Rav Shimon, the vidui on the seir is ma'akiv, right? So what's the svaras hamachlokes between Rav Shimon, who says it's not ma'akiv, and that is ma'akiv, and the Chacham that is not ma'akiv? Good. So that's why this is all out of order. It really should be back there. V'azlo tamayu. Look at the bottom Rashi, guys. V'azlo tamayu. Aplukta deloy hisvadakoi. It's going on the machlokes if you didn't do vidui. Umikami toshmar par ma'akiv is a sorg asinalei, and we goyris it before the kasha from par that was ma'akiv. Now I went straight through simply because I logically in Sfara it made sense, but this really belonged over there because it goes on that machlokes. So now we're going to explain why like the Tanakama is the vidui not ma'akiv, and why like Rav Shimon is the vidui ma'akiv. Vazlav my Tanya Amid base. Yomid Chai, it says that the animal Yomid Chai, the seir should stand Chai lifnei Hashem lechaper alav. Now, what does it mean Yomid Chai? The word Chai is extra. Ad masa yiyeh zokek Yomid Chai. How long does it have to remain alive for the avodah to be complete? Ad shas matan damei shel chaveroi. In other words, as long as you go ahead and spritz the blood of the other seir, you're good. That's all. That's how long it has to remain alive. Divrei Reb Yehuda, Reb Shimon Omer, at shas vidui devarim, until vidui. You have to stay alive until vidui. So take a look at the chart. You'll notice, guys, on the chart there is no vidui. There's no chart here. Here's the spritzing of the dam of the seir over here. Yud. Good. The animal has to stay alive until you shecht, until matan dam, until you do the matan damin over here. If it dies afterwards, the same mishtaleach, then you don't need another goyrel. On the other hand, Rav Shimon's of the opinion, look, the vidui, it's not even on the chart. The vidui is done afterwards. So Rabbi Shimon says, until you do the vidui. Why does it have to remain alive until you do the vidui? Because the vidui is ma'akev. Rabbi Yehuda says it just has to stay alive till here. I didn't do the vidui. Vidui is not ma'akev. That's the Tanakama. Late Rav Shimon, it has to stay alive chai until you do the vidui. And once you do the vidui, then it could die. But until you, so therefore you see like Rav Shimon that it has to stay alive till the vidui, that the vidui is ma'akev. Okay, says the Gemara. Rav Shimon Shas vidus dvar. The Maikamifli. What's as far as the machlokes? Kedetanya. L'chaper. It says Yom Chai Lefnei Hashem L'chaper Olav. L'chaper. Kaparas domim hakosam medaber. It's speaking about what kapara? It's speaking about the kapara that's associated with what? With blood. As long as you do the kapara with the blood, which is stam what kapara is throughout, we've learned throughout Shas so far. Ein kapara ela bedam. Once the dam is finished, it's okay. The rest of the carbon because everything's totally bedam. So when it says the chapra love, it means the same kapara. It means all over, which is dam. When he finishes being mechapes a kodesh, meaning when he finishes doing the avodas adam in the whole kodesh. Malahala, and just like over there, the kaparas damim, it's speaking about what? The kapar of the dam. Afkan, the kaparas damim, it has to stay alive. When it says the chapra love, as long as it's alive, that the matan dam is done, it's okay. That's the Tanakama. So according to him, the vida wasn't done yet. It's okay, it's fine. The Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says vida is not ma'akev. He's the Tanakama of the Mishnah that we quoted before, the Brisa. Rabbi Shimon no, lechaper a love lechaper. The key word being a love. What does a love lechaper means? The kapara mutelis a love akosim medaber. The kapara that's a love. What's the kapara on the same mishalech, guys? You don't shecht it. What's the kapara? Is the vidui. Guys, look at the top line. Yom Chai Lefnei Hashem lechaper, and the key next word is a love. The kapara that's totally a love on it. What's the kapara associated with the Shemesh Laleach? Is kaparas dvarim. It's the vidui. So you see, vidui is ma'akev according to Rav Shimon. That's the machlokes. That's the hezbollah machlokes between the two. Very good. Tashma sholu talmidim es Rabbi Akiva. Now we're going back. Sholu talmidim es Rabbi Akiva. Allah bismail. Let's say it comes up in your left hand. Ma'ushe yachsel yamin. What's the din of putting it back in your right hand? It seems to be a ludicrous question, right? Because we just went through the whole thing that you shouldn't be able to finagle, right? To make it up come in the right. So now you're telling me, well, I still remember I used to call bingo games. So I'd call bingo, and if I saw the bingo ball wasn't good, I would just shove it back down because I wanted to move it along, facilitate things. Okay, so I manipulated things. So now, Maushi Yachsalamin. So Amalahem, Al Titnu Makam Litzidoikim Lirdois. Don't give the place for the tzedaikim to rule over us. In other words, don't give them food of fodder. Don't give them anything that they probably use against us. Here, look, there really is right, there's left. Oh, guess what? It's not so clear. Yeah, right, left, link the hair, you'll finagle it. So don't give them. Now, Taima, the whole reason that you can't do this right-left thing is like titnu makam tzedaikim lirdois. Holav hachi mehadrin law. But without that, we would go ahead and do it, meaning the goyrel is not ma'akiv. What the Gemara guys do. The Gemara now is going back to the machlokes. We interjected the vidui, and now forget the machlokes. We explained clearly the machlokes of vidui, whether it's totally in kapar's dam, kapar's dvarim, and now we're going back to a shaila whether hagrol is ma'akiv or not. So like Rabbi Akiva, the mashma, the whole reason you can't go ahead and manipulate it is because what it's tzedaikim going to say. Take away what tzedaikim are going to say, there's no problem. So it must be the goyrel's not ma'akiv, because if the goyrel was ma'akiv, the goyrel would set the tone, and of course you can't go ahead and do something like that, right? So l'chayra, we have a raya, the goyrel's not ma'akiv, and it's a kasha Rabbi Yanai from the original chart. Rabbi Yanai said it's ma'akiv in both. Says the Ma'akiv ma'akva. Since you were kadveya the seil Hashem the small heichim adrenalate to the right, Ella must be what that the goyrel is not ma'akiv. Kashan Rabbi Yanai. Amarava no hachi kamar. Allah hagoyrel bismoil. Let's say it goes up in the left and it's kadveya Ma'ushi yachziru loy u'seiroi liyamin. What about putting it and the seir to the right? The goyrel is ma'akiv. And the goyrel does set it. Good. So what's going to be? People are going to see the kohen gadol. He's going to be standing there with a right lazazel, a left to what? To a left to Hashem for purpose of morale, that it should be go up. Why about switching the animals? In other words, the animal that's going to go to Azazel is going to go to Azazel. The animal is going to Hashem is going to Hashem. But let's make it appear as if what? The goyrel came up in his right hand, which is a very serendipitous sign for Klal Yisrael. That's the question. So the goyrel was Kaiveya. And the animal that's to the right is really good, is really the one that came up in the left. And the goyrel was set at L'Shem. The question is, can we manipulate it to look as if what? Just for morale, that it came up in the right hand. That's the Shiloh. But it was Kaiveya. You hear the difference, guys? In the first case, we thought in the Havamina of the Gemara is, let's switch it around and put it on the animal, which is, in other words, the wrong goyrel on the wrong animal. No, you're putting the right goyrel on the right animal. Just the people don't know, which the people should know that this one Hashem came up in the left. That's all. But ultimately, you're going to bring the one Hashem. That's on that. Amalahem said Rabbi Akiva, no. Don't give them full fara. Just do it right. It's going to be on the left. The morale won't be there. Just keep it that way. Bottom line is, we haven't been pushed to Shaila whether Agrola is ma'akiv or not. Any clarity in the machloikas between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yanai is saying it is ma'akiv, and Rabbi Yochanan is saying it's not ma'akiv. Tashma, ilu nema es hasoya asher olav. If it would have said just the words es hasoya asher olav, hayisi oimer, I would have said yani cheru olav. You have to put it on the animal. Tamaloima Allah. Allah means you drew it. Kimin sha'Allah. Once you drew it out of the box, shuvein etzarach. You don't have to put it on the animal. Okay, that's the limud. In other words, if it didn't say olav, I would say that it's ma'akev even putting it on the animal. Good. Now lamai ilaim mitzvah. You can tell me what that it's no mitzvah at all to put it on the animal. How can you say that? It says in the Torah, "V'nasan Aaron al shnei asiyim garolos." V'nasan Aaron al shnei asiyim garolos. Mashma, there is a mitzvah to put it on. It's not ma'akiv, but there's a mitzvah to put it on. Elolav, it must be la'akiv. It must be over here that it's ma'akiv. It must be that speaking hagarala and shmamino hagarala ma'akva hanachaloi ma'akva. So the whole guys, here's the way you learn Bryce. Tashma ilu nemes asayah shel love. If it would say the Sayer, Asher Olav, that you have to put it on. Tamalema Olav, that what? It's a mitzvah to put it on, but if you don't put it on, it's okay. That's regarding the Hanacha, guys. Mashma, the goyrel itself, would be ma'akiv. So now it's a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Now it's a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Again, one more time. It said, if it wouldn't say Olav, just as a love, I would know that Hanacha is ma'akiv. Talmud Loimar, Allah, that you drew it out. You draw it out, so it's a mitzvah to put it on, but if you don't put it on, it's okay. That's only regarding the hanach on the animal, is it okay? What about the actual hagarala? It's not okay if you don't do it. Kasha on Rabbi Yochanan, who said that what? That it's not ma'akiv. Here you see from this brisa, it's a Tanoic brisa source, that it is ma'akiv. Kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. So Amarava Hachikama, says Rabbi, no. Ilu nema asher olav. If it would say asher olav, not olav, I would have said yanicheu olav at shashchita. I would say you leave. It's only going on hanacha. It's not going on hagrola. Hagrola is not ma'akiv. But when it says, what's the discussion? How long do you have to leave it on for? I would say if it wouldn't say Allah, I would say you have to leave it on until it's geshachtin. Tamalei asher Allah. Kimin she'Allah. Once it comes up, shuvein etzarach. Once you put it on, you don't have to go ahead. So now hagrola is what? Is not ma'akiv. And the hanacha is also not ma'akiv. But how long do you have to keep it on? Just a little period of time. So you weren't placed at the shaila yet. So again, machloikas Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yanai, do you need the goyrel to be ma'akiv or not? Rabbi Yochanan says yes. Rabbi Yanai says no. We have machloikas where the machloikas is in. According to one lashon, the machloikas is in Rabbi Yehuda. According to other lashon, the machloikas is in Rabbi Nechemia. Toshma, it says by Vaseo Chatas, you should make it a Chatas. Hagorel Oisa Chatas, Ve'ein Hashem Oisa Chatas. Calling out the name does not make it a Chatas. It's only the Gorel that makes it a Chatas. All right. sheyachol, because I would say calling out the name does make it. I would say to designate it as a chatas, calling out the name is more definitive than a goyrel. V'haloi dinhu, uma b'makom shloi kiddush hagoyrel, kiddush Hashem, ma b'makom shloi kiddush hagoyrel, kiddush Hashem, in the place where what? Where there's no goyrel, a regular place, a regular calling the carbon. How do you designate a carbon? By calling it Kiddush Hashem, you call it a carbon. Mokum shekiddush. I'm saying share now, okay? Mokum shekiddush. A place shalei kiddush hagoyrel, kiddush Hashem, a regular scenario where the goyrel doesn't work, but Kri Hashem does work. Malkam shekiddush hagoyrel, where the goyrel does work, einay din sheyikadosh Hashem. So I would say, if I go ahead, I'm the Kayin Gadol, I say this should be L'Shem, this should be Lazazel, it should work. Tamaloymar, it says Vaseu Chatas. The only way it works is hagoyrel oisachatas, ve'ein Hashem oisachatas. So mashma, if the guys, it has to go ahead be what? That the goyrel has to be ma'akev, right? It has to be that the goyrel is ma'akev. Good. Now, this is Teres Kahanim, or what we call Sifra. Stam Sifra Amid Aleph. Stam Sifra, money, is Reb Yehuda. The Katani, hagoyrel oisachatas. And we're learning that the goyrel makes a chatas. Ve'ein Hashem oisachatas. Alma, what do you see? Hagrola ma'akfa. Now we see that what? That the goyrel is taka ma'akev. We see that the goyrel is taka. We see that the goyrel is taka ma'akev, right? That the goyrel is ma'akev. So therefore, could you see that, guys? You see that? You didn't see that. I can't see you. That's why I need you to talk.
Yes, we saw it. Yes.
Okay, now watch.
Yeah.
So according Rabbi Yehuda says it's ma'akev, right? So now it's got to be not like this lashon that Rabbi Yehuda says it's not ma'akev. It's a tuyufta on this lashon, on the lishna kama. Like the lishna kama, Rabbi Yehuda said it's not ma'akev. Rabbi Yehuda is the Tana of Sifra, and he's saying it is ma'akev. So it has to be, guys, like Rabbi Yanai, that's ma'akev in Rabbi Yehuda, guys. So look at the lashon now. The word Alma hagrola ma'akva tiyufta demand Amar. It's a tiyufta demand Amar on Rabbi Yochanan. The Amar hagrola le ma'akva. It'll be a tiyufta on Rabbi Yochanan who says hagrola is not ma'akav, and it'll be a raya to Rabbi Yanai.
Great chart.
Baruch Hashem, I think I was very happy with them. Both charts worked really, really well.
Yes, we could have read